let's take a look at the fellows who we got running. Jerry Hopp, qualifying for a race in Seattle for the first time in competition, driving the KZOK Machine Rock Band. And, of course, Todd Yarling. This is my favorite rookie from out of the Madison, Indiana area in the Joe Ritchie. And, of course, Scott Pierce, the son of the late Laird Pierce, a hot driver in the old boy Oberto. Look for him to perform well if the boat is up to it. E. Milner Irvin III, steady, quiet, most personable fellow in the fleet, and he certainly is a tenacious competitor. Talk about tenacity. This guy's got it. Ron Snyder, American Speedy Printing. This guy, look at him at the start line. He's going to be right there and right with this fella, Steve Reynolds, our colleague, who will probably be wide and try to stay out of the traffic and try to stay in the better water conditions. There's the Renault, of course, and steady Milner Irvin, the driver. Let's watch the American Speedy now as she comes down past us. And as you see, the tops are a little off the rollers, and as you take a look at the horizon, it's not bouncing, Steve, all that much. So, Don, I think the conditions are a little bit better this time than the last time out.
You'll find a C-130
Both straightaways. It wasn't just the log boom or the back chute. It was also down here the main chute. So those rollers are not just coming off the boom. They may be coming off this side as well, or they're coming all the way across the course. It's still a little nasty coming down the main chute here. John, down to the minute 50 mark. There you see from that Hitachi camera on the Tosti with Steve Reynolds looking to his left, trying to find out where the traffic is. He's basically all alone right out there. And the KZOK machine band has gone way slow. He's still out on the course in the back chute, as a matter of fact, as we hit the 135 mark. I'm not sure if he's just slowing down or if he's got problems. At the 135, it's probably too little time to loop around. Maybe he's just going to dog it.
That's a lot of time to have to waste that early, though. I think he's going to have to go around.
Yeah, he's coming into the infield now and is accelerating, so he'll get around and try to join the group. Little mistiming on his part. Tosti, Steve up in the north turn. You see him there. Coming down, heading south now down the main straightaway here in Seattle. You ride with Steve as he comes down that main chute. You can see the rooster tails out front of the Oh Boy Oberto, the one in the middle of your picture as he comes down the line. 1 minute mark. And again, look for Steve Reynolds to try to stay out of trouble. People to look out for, of course, Ron Snyder, the American Speedy Printing. That boat and that driver, boy, that's a perfect marriage. It's a forgiving boat, and Ron, he tries to get everything he can out of it.
Yeah, he stretches it for all it's worth, and fortunately, he's got a boat there that is worth an awful lot, but at the same time, it's very forgiving. It'll do a lot of bad things and still come down with the shiny side up.
You're watching the Renault, and as they all gather now, all 6 boats up into the north turn, beginning to accelerate. The Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit out there on the right of your screen as they come around now. Hugging the buoy on the inside is the Miss Renault, and Milner Irvin coming slowing way down now as he comes around. Looks like he's
early up there.
Yeah, extremely early. I think Milner is likewise. He's just trying to dog it. American Speedy Printing coming around wide now, as you see, down to the 10-second mark. Boy, all the drivers are having a tough time. Looks like Ron Snyder's beginning to accelerate now in the American Speedy Printing. He's in first place. Down to 2 seconds. He's a little early. No, oh, right on the button by American Speedy Printing and Ron Snyder as he wobbles. Look at him going down the main chute. Again, those parallel rollers giving him a tough time. Ron Snyder of the American Speedy Printing. He has the lead coming down, but he's paying the price as he comes into the south turn. Ron Snyder, American Speedy in first place in about lane number 2. Let's see how they develop now as they come around the apex buoy, around the exit buoy. There he is. Boy, oh man, I have never seen that boat rock that much as it came out of the turn. He's got problems with his engine now too. There's the Tosti just coming past the starting line. Steve Reynolds way back. American Speedy Printing goes dead in the water. Let's see what Steve Reynolds can do now in the Tosti. He's way back, just coming into the south turn now. The leader in the meantime, as we see here on the left, is the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit with Todd Yarling aboard. On the inside and on the right here is the Miss Renault with Milner Irvin out of Miami, Florida. Good battle for first and second place. They may not be going all that fast, but it's a great battle. And again, they're battling those rollers as they go into that north
turn. Good race both ways for second, third, and fourth.
Third and fourth you see here. That is the KZOK machine band on the left of your screen. On the right, Scotty Pearson, the boy Oberto. Coming around the north third now. The leading boat is the Miss Renault as he made a great turn, swinging the Joe Ritchie out wide. So now, Milner Irvin, the Miss Renault, the airplane pilot. First place goes to the Renault. The U3. In second place is the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit and Todd Yarling. 4-second lead now for the Miss Renault. Third place goes to the Oh Boy Oberto and Scotty Pierce. A good showing by him so far, as you see now the Renault come barreling into that south turn. The owner is Jerry Shane. As you see here, the 4th place boat, the KZOK machine band, and the 5th place boat, the Tosti. Obviously, Steve's got problems. You see the rooster tail of the KZOK machine band way ahead of him. Reynolds, he's got problems with the boat. We'll simply have to wait and see what he has to say when he comes back. Going back to first place, let's look at the speeds. 109 for the lead boat after lap number 1, 105 for the second place boat. So the Renault in first place, Milner Irvin holding on. Got a good lead right now as he's moving down the back chute. In second place is the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit, known as Jets Music back in the East Coast. And then, of course, they have a new sponsor, Joe Ritchie, out of Detroit. Third place, Scott Pierce. He's been on the entire tour this year, racing the U40. It was a yellow boat sometimes, known as the Team Velocity. Then it went on to Risley's Audio Video when it was in the Evansville area around Indiana. And now Reynolds, yes, he's starting to go up past the KZOK machine band now, moving into fourth place, I believe. In the meantime, the Miss Renault coming around to complete lap number 2 is Milner Irvin out of Miami. You see now as he comes barreling by the entrance buoy into the north turn, that's Reynolds. He's moved into fourth place. Second place is now Joe Ritchie completing lap number 2. He's at 105. The Renault is at 112. Here's Renault now. Check that. It's the Boy Alberto on the right of your screen. And Steve Reynolds is coming up to go after him now. Here comes Reynolds against Scott Pierce. Very good friends. And again, those rollers are affecting both boats.
Yeah, they sure are. One of the big problems that we've got right now is besides having all the parallel rollers out there where the boats are getting set off, the wind has changed a little bit and it's blowing right straight down the front straightaway here. So when it does get the nose in the air aerodynamically, the boat starts to get real light and they get out of shape and stay there for a long, long time.
All right, first place is the Miss Renault going down the back chute. In the meantime, we're in the south third. There's the Renault in first place, the Milner Irvin. He had a third place down in the Gold Cup last week. Did a very good driving. Outstanding job on the part of Milner Irvin.
Looks like Steve's move on up into third place.
Steve's advanced now into third place, getting past Boy Alberto as they go down the back chute. You see the wide shot of the big lead for Milner Irvin. And the Miss Renault has gone dead in the water now, pulling off into the infield. So now, that means Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit, has moved into first place with Todd Yarling aboard. The young man out of Madison, Indiana, the co-rookie of the year last year in 1983, along with Earl Hall of then the Squire Shop. So Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit, is in first place. Well, we got to spread out. We're going to have to update this, but you know something? The Tostiasti is giving chase. Steve Reynolds just coming out of the north turn. He is in second place now as he gives chase to Joe Ritchie and the Spirit of Detroit. You see the rooster tail of the lead boat in front of Steve Reynolds. That's what he's aiming for right now as he goes down the main chute here in Seattle. They're on the third lap, lap number 3. Okay, speed for the Joe Ritchie was 105 on this last lap, 111 for the Tostiasti. Let's see if he can catch him. They're on lap number 3 right now. Check it, number 4.
I think it's late enough in the program right now that you probably won't see Steve put on a real hard charge to try and pass here because he doesn't want to overtax any your equipment or stretch anything and risk braking and not getting any points here. Second place is sure a lot better than a DNF.
Okay, again, updating you now. Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit in first place, midway down the back chute. You see the rooster tail there. Second place is the boat you're aboard right now. That man, Steve Reynolds, in the Tostiasti out of Seattle, Washington. They worked on the sponsons last night. They had Ron Jones down to narrow the sponsons a little bit. It's a lively boat anyway. And, of course, with these rollers, that's even more problems for Steve Reynolds and company. Joe Ritchie swinging very, very, very wide now in the north turn. He's the lead boat. Not exactly sure why he's doing so, but he's coming down in the meantime. That gives Tostiasti more time. Steve Reynolds is making up time. He's coming around the turn now.
Yeah, he moved to the inside there to shorten up the distance that he had to go around the race course, and he's picked up an awful lot of time on the first place boat right here.
So now we've got a pretty good race. You can see that the rooster tail is getting closer for Steve Reynolds as he gives chase. A 7-second lead for Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit. That boat is a supercharged Allison. They set a record for that type of an engine for a speed up in Syracuse, New York. It was running very, very well. Then they ran into problems in Madison, and in Detroit, the right sponson was badly damaged. Speeds right now, 105 still for the Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit. For the Tostiasti, 113.1 miles per hour. So he's still cutting into that lead rather well, but whether or not he can go ahead and beat him, I doubt it, because they are on the final lap, and I think Steve Reynolds will be happy to settle down for 300 points and getting a second place.
Yeah, at this point in time, it's really not worth taking the chance on breaking something. Second place, those 300 points will come in real handy when they get ready to go into the next heat here, where if they would try to go too hard and end up breaking something and end up with no points, that would put them in a must-win situation. They'd have to go out and run hard in the next heat.
Right, you can tell Steve is going quite slow because he's getting spray up through what I call the blowholes inside the sponsons. In fact, he's slowing way down now. Let's keep an eye on him.
May have a problem out there.
Steve Reynolds, when you see the spray shooting up like that, that means he's down around 100 miles an hour, maybe even less. Come on, Steve, keep it going, baby. He's in second place, but in the meantime, here comes your winner of Heat 1B. It's going to be Todd Yarling in the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit. Let's hear it for consistency. Todd Yarling, winner of Heat 1B.
Nice job.
Second place, back up into the north turn. You saw him go behind the rooster tail of Todd Yarling. Is going to be Steve Reynolds and the Tosti. They've got real problems. He is really bouncing around, not going very fast.
In the meantime, we've got a pretty good race going on back here for third and fourth. It looks like he may get around him there.
And it looks to me like their cowling might be a little loose, too, here on the Tosti on the right side, so he's probably taking it easy. Wants to save our camera. Second place to the Tosti. Here's your race for third and fourth place up in the north turn. On the inside is the Oboy Oberto. On the outside is the KZOK machine band. It looks like the Oberto has the hand right now as they go on the inside. Scott Pierce flying along. That boat has sunk twice already in 1984. Here's the race for third and fourth. Gotta go the Oboy Oberto. Scotty Pierce against Jerry Hopp and the KZOK machine band. Boy, I think Scotty Pierce, he's slowing way down right now. He said, I had one last ounce of life in my boat, and I'm going to get my third place. Yep. In fact, he's turning onto the infield right now. All right. So it went to first place, went to Joe Ritchie, Spirit of Detroit. Second place to the Tosti and Steve Reynolds, our cohort. Third place went to Oboy Oberto, 225 points, as you see Steve Reynolds. And, of course, fourth place to the KZOK. Steve needs help, it looks like.
Steve needs help, all right. He's waving a cushion. That means he needs a tow right now, and he's also got an awful hot engine right at the moment.
Well, that in the back it looks pretty normal, but I'm just concerned about the right side, Mike. You saw it. They looked like the cowling had broken loose.
It did look like the cowling was separated, although the shots from our camera didn't seem to indicate that. They're still pretty steady. But Steve's saying, come on, quick.
Yeah, he's got a problem.
He needs some help right away.
He's not sinking. I don't see him sinking anywhere.
No, I don't see that. He needs some help right away.
Yeah, the type of material that boat's built out of, you can pretty much cut the thing in half and it wouldn't sink. But still, the thing that they don't want to do is get enough water into where it starts to damage some of the systems that can keep them out of the final.
Well, and another thing, too, is, of course, we'll have the draw now for Heats 2A and 2B, and be just as lucky if he gets into 2A, and then there needs to be some work, so he's obviously in a hurry to get back into the pits.
Checking the right side of the cowling there, gentlemen, it is bound down all right, but he looks like he has some damage right up front by the cockpit.
Yeah, it looks like the deck's broken up there.
Yes, it does. It looks like there's some damage right up front by the cockpit on the right side, and Steve is concerned that he wants to get the boat under tow so it does not take on water.
Let's check our videotapes. Maybe we had some damage back here in the start of the race or something like that. I did not see him until the lead boats had already gone well into the south turn.
That may very well have happened long before the start. It may have happened up there in the jockeying because he was very late at the line, as you know. But as he now seems to be at least secured at this point, and he has a tow underway, and we'll get, of course, a quick look at that. In the meantime, on the happy side of things, the Todd Yarling has returned to the pits of the Joe Ritchie, and he has had a terrific race out here. The boat had some handling problems over in Tri-Cities because it didn't have its verticals or its horizontal stabilizer and had some real difficulty. Once they got that back on again, that boat, which rides relatively light, managed to hold on. And consistency, of course, is the key. And if you can keep it running when the other guys can't, that's how you score your victories.
Michael?
And, that's how it worked for Todd.
Mike, the drawing will be in 10 minutes, by the way, the draw for Heats 2A and 2B. Keep in mind now, this boat finished second place in the Miami race, first race of the year.
That's right. And you see Jim Saddam, the fellow in the yellow shirt there, and of course, there's Todd, and he is delighted about that run. Of course, we told you the American Speedy Printing, of course, and the Miss Renault were going to be there if anything happened to Steven. It wasn't that way, though. But then they both ran into some problems. We're watching them tow the Tosti into us right now, and I don't see any real serious damage up front that I can visually see as the boat is pointed back toward the dock now. Well, that's the Squire shot firing up on the truck, gentlemen, in case you wondered.
Todd Yarling and Jim Saddam, the man in the yellow shirt, just to the right of that crane. He is the owner of the boat, and they have said since the beginning of '84 that they're going for consistency, not high speeds. Try to treat their sponsor right, get out there, make it to the final heats, and it seems with that finish, they're right back to where they were at the beginning of the season.
Well, as John mentioned, the roller action actually trimmed down somewhat, but it was just enough for that direct south wind coming right into the path on the start line to really launch these boats off. And John, I can't remember ever seeing seen that former pay and pack hull get that high.
No, I've seen it that high before, but I've never seen it hang there and do the bad things that it was doing for that length of time. It got nose up and was dangling there for, geez, a good third of the straightaway, and it looked like it was, you know, pretty much out of control, and Ron was just kind of along for the ride at that point in time.
It certainly appeared that way, and then, of course, it settled down, which, as you mentioned, it's so forgiving. That boat has forgiven a whole lot of lead-footed drivers since 1973. There's no question about it. That could have been a dangerous situation. And, of course, the Renault was right there to capitalize on the problem, and Milner Irvin then had his problems. This water presents an altogether different racetrack. Your speeds are relatively low, but the competition certainly is not without its excitement.
Mike, do you see any damage now from your point from the monitor here? It doesn't look like there's anything on the deck anyway.
I see a little nick off the very nose of the boat.
Yeah.
And that's all I see at this point. And there was some fragmented pieces of something hanging on that thing a little bit ago, and I don't know whether that was deck. It doesn't appear to have been decked. It appears that everything else is together on the race boat at this point. Nevertheless, they were concerned about getting it back quickly. Well, Luke Ellis can tell us more about Todd Yarling and the winner of this last heat. Luke?
Actually, Todd Yarling can tell us more about Todd Yarling, the winner of this heat. He got off to a pretty good start, hung in there when some of the other boats had some problems, but you two were just complaining about the rough water.
Oh, it was really rough out there. Some of the boats I was beside out there, they were just getting all out of shape. And that boat of mine, we've got it now to where it's just jumping over all the rough stuff instead of plowing through it. And it's just a fantastic ride in the rough water.
Looks like some of the water came over and got right into your boots here. You had to pour out your boots as soon as you got out of the boat.
Yeah, when I took off a couple times in a turn, I got buried a little bit, and of course water comes up, and it stays in the back of the boat until I slow down, and then it comes and floods the cockpit. So.
Well, you ran rather well now, and obviously that means it was a good ride for you. How do you think it can go on the long haul over the day? Because you picked up the points, you've been consistent today at least. You didn't jump to the lead, but you managed to be consistent, and that's what enabled you to win.
Well, that's been our game plan all along, is try to be consistent. The boat pushes real easy, and our motors are, we've built them so that not to make the most speed out of them, to make them last as long as possible. So I think with a little more, every time we go out, we'll dial it in a little closer. I think we're going to make it this time.
Well, you were out in the boat, so you didn't get to hear the eruption from the finger pier here, but all the people from your camp and from the island security systems jumped up and yelled, "Let's hear it for the dog boats." And you're not the dog boat, you just won.
Yeah, it's something we've never done before. We're really tickled.
Okay, back to Pit Central.